Hello, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to another informative technical analysis session on the USD JPY. Over the past 12 weeks, we've observed a consistent bullish trend in this instrument. However, it's important that we reassess the daily time frame and re-examine the current market structure from an holistic perspective after noticing the appearance of selling pressure on Friday. In this video, I will be sharing my findings with you along with some simple setups to navigate the market structure effectively. As usual, we will be using trend lines, key levels, and chart patterns to gain insight into historical price movement and make an informed trading decision ahead of the week. Before diving into the details, let's take a moment to recap the key moments from the previous week where we successfully capitalized on important trading opportunities, which resulted in us scooping over 300 pips profit from multiple entries. So, without further ado, let's get to it. So, talking about last week's trading session, it was more of a bearish expectations at the beginning of the week after noticing lower highs within that range we identified around the 143.900 level and the 143.250. And we took advantage of some sell position which never lasted long before we begin to see the appearance of buy pressure around the 143.100 area, giving us an engulfing candle which broke out of that descending trend line to incite an opportunity to buy above the 143.450 level. And since then, we have been buying the USDJPY, taking advantage of more opportunities. So it was more of buying the USDJPY during the first half of last week as we were able to capitalize on this opportunity by adding more positions at the breakout of key structures. But during the later part of last week, that was, I think, on the last trading day of last week, we begin to see some potentials of sellers coming in as soon as price action tested the 144.900. And throughout of the Friday, the last trading day of last week, we saw that buyers were unable to break out this level, which is for me a source of concern. So it was more of a profitable week for us. But if you do want to have a review for educational purposes of these commentaries, I already have the link to the description of the link to this commentary in the description box of this current video. And if you are watching this from my YouTube channel, of course, you will be seeing the link to this commentary at the top right hand side of your screen. So, with that being said, here, let's dive right into the business for today. Now, the first thing I was able to do here was to go straight into the daily time frame to refresh our memories as regards what is really going on the higher time frame. And what I did here was to take into consideration the activity of price action since the last quarter of last year, and this was what I was able to come up with. Now, if you look at the structure closely, one of the major levels that I'm going to be using as a yardstick for this week is that 145.00 level, a very strong psychological area considering the round figure of that price, as you can see. And if we go to as far back as the month of September of last year, we can see how this level has been a major determinant of price action. It was initially a selling niche, as you can see here. Before we saw the breakout of the structure around this point, we saw retest of structure before a final breakdown of this level happened during the month of November. And since then, price action has been trading below the structure to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. However, during the course of last week's trading session, we saw how price action is back into that level, which for me is a sign that we need to take a whole lot of attention to that area to see how price action will be reacting to this level to determine what our next line of action will be. So that is why I have that level marked out, and in fact, we are going to be using it to guide our trading activities for this week. Then, in addition to that level at the 145.00 level, is a trend line which I was able to identify after connecting the series of higher lows since the month of March, and we have a very beautiful trend line to work with. Now, my question for this week is how are we going to be taking advantage of this market structure? Are we going to be seeing a situation where price will break out of the 145.00 level to incite a trend continuation to the upside? Or are we going to be seeing a situation where price will drop back, selling pressure below the 145, drop back into the bullish trend line to incite the second wave of bullish momentum, or even break down the structure to incite a sell off? So, to answer this question, we shall be scaling down into a much more lower time frame. And I was able to identify a simple setup that we are going to be using on the 4 hours time frame. But before we scale into the 4 hours time frame, I would like us to review the economic calendar, as it is very important for us to also ensure that we keep tabs with the fundamental factors in this market. And we all know that these fundamental factors often manifest on the charts in technical patterns and price movements. And by monitoring the economic calendar, we can identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns. And from the economic calendar here, I was able to spool out a handful of high impact events from both the Japanese and the US economy. And for this week, we have the first high impact event is coming in on Sunday, later today. That's Tankan Large Manufacturing Index. Then on Monday, July 3rd, from the US economic docket, we have the ISM Manufacturing PMI. Then on Wednesday, July 5, we have the FOMC minutes from the US docket. And on Thursday, July 6, we also have the ADP employment change, ISM services PMI. And then on Friday, we have the average hourly earnings for month on month and year on year, after which we are going to be having the almighty non farm payroll on that same day. So you will agree with me that this week is laced with a whole lot of high impact event that we obviously want to be looking forward to. And of course, we shall be seeing the anticipation of market participants in this market reflect on the chart as price action. So with this information we have here, let's scale back down into the 4 hours time frame, where I said I was able to identify a simple setup that we are going to be using for this week. Now, this is the 4 hours time frame, and this is what I was able to do. So, what I did here was to take into consideration the activity of price action in the last couple of weeks to see how we can position ourselves ahead of the new week. Now, the first thing I was able to observe here in the last couple of weeks is the fact that price action has been bullish, and with a series of higher lows, we connected the series here to give us an ascending trend line to work with for this week. And you know how we use our trend lines in this community. As long as price action remains above this trend line, we want to look out for more buying opportunity, as well feel comfortable in a buy position. However, if at any point in time price action breaks down the trend line, then we will start considering selling, which might lead into a sell off into that major ascending trend line I showed you on the daily time frame. So now, to help us to guide our trading activity for this week, I already identified a key level that we are going to be using, which is falling at exactly the 144.200 level. And if you look at this level closely, you will see how it has been a major determinant of price action during the second half of last week. As you can see, throughout last week, it has been a platform for buying opportunity. We saw how price action closed at that level on Friday, and exactly it falls along that ascending trend line. So, our center of focus for this week is going to be around that key level, which of course shares a confluence with our ascending trend line. And depending on how price action reacts to this area during the early hours of the week, will give us an idea of how we are going to be positioning ourselves for the week. But trust me, I will be with you in the comment section After monitoring how participants in the market will be reacting to the structure during the earlier hours of the week to determine what our next line of action will be. So are we going to be buying? That is a breakout of the 145.00 level to join a trend continuation to the upside. Or are we going to be having the significant breakdown of the trend line, setting pressure below the key level at the 144.200 to incite a sell-off in this market? So that we shall be knowing at the beginning of the week. I hope this video has been of immense help in making your independent decision on the USDJPY. And if you found the content helpful in making your own decisions regarding the USDJPY for the upcoming week, I will greatly appreciate your support by giving the video a thumbs up. Your support is valuable to me and helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find the material beneficial. Thank you in advance for doing so. If you haven't already, I encourage you to follow me on this channel. By subscribing, you will stay updated with the latest ideas I share, and you will receive notifications whenever I upload new videos and commentaries. I'm looking forward to and engaging with you in the comment sections on Monday as we prepare for the week ahead. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. Bye bye.